Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan with another Inside the Birds with a lot to talk about. But first, do you love fantasy sports the way Adam and I love fantasy sports? Are you ready for a new challenge this year? Dynasty Owner is the new way to play fantasy football with real NFL salaries, adding the strategy of running an actual franchise. Dynasty Owner provides a unique and challenging experience that will test your skills as an owner and general manager. You'll have complete control over your team's future. You can build through the draft, make trades, sign free agents, and manage your team's salary caps. You can even create a dynasty of champions. So sign up now at dynastyowner.com and get started on building your dynasty. And there are some great things involved with Dynasty Owner. You can get 3 patents for fantasy sports. It's the only league that uses real NFL salaries. They have a 30 player maximum size, 25 player minimum. They do a 25-round snake draft, a yearly 3-round rookie draft. You get use of in-game currency. It's called Dynasty Dollars, used for free agency and trades. And, of course, your roster is pretty basic: a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a kicker. So make sure you're checking out Dynasty Owner and enjoy. Build your team like your name was Howie Roseman, who we will definitely talk about today, Jeffrey Lurie, who we'll talk about today, and see if you can win the Super Bowl like the Eagles did a couple of years ago and are trying to build back with a lot of moves that they've been making the past 2 off seasons.
I'm in a dynasty league. I love this company. We had a call with them a couple weeks ago. I'm in one dynasty league right now, and I should do one of theirs for fantasypoints.com, John Hanson's company. And we've got a rookie draft coming up, man, because the dynasty league, for people who are casual players, fantasy players, or don't play at all, what it is a dynasty league. You keep most, if not all, your players in a roster. Where a keeper league, you keep 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. Dynasty is hardcore. But the great thing about the Dynasty Owner here, perusing their site and going through it and hearing them explain, it's really easy to understand. And I love the setup, and we're really happy to have them as a partner.
Absolutely, we are. And it sounds like a great format. It's something I probably want to explore. I've done like keeper leagues, but I've never really done the true dynasty style. So I'm probably going to get involved myself and see if I can get my who do I want to be? I want to be Lester Snead and just say F them picks, just trade them all for really good players and see what I can do there.
Did you see his T-shirt, by the way? Did you see that F them picks T-shirt?
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
I love it. When you win the Super Bowl, you can make it into a slogan.
That's right.
All right, listen, I want to thank everybody. We've had a great reaction. I kind of thought we would. We teased the John DiFilippo interview about 2 weeks ago. We've done it. It came out this week. And I was sort of surprised, only because he's not been with the team for a couple of years now. And sometimes in Philadelphia, we tend to be out of sight, out of mind. So I didn't think that it would garner as much attention. I thought it would be good. I just didn't realize we got a lot of really nice comments from listeners about the questions in particular that we asked Flip about Carson Wentz, about the 2017 season, about his philosophy on being aggressive, on being a quarterback's coach, on Jalen Hurts. We had a chance to interview at the Combine. I mean, it was a pretty wide-ranging interview, and Flip is a natural. That guy's got, when he's done with football, he's going to have a career in the media. He is a natural, and so we should thank everybody who commented, because we got some really good comments on that.
Yeah, John did some videos when he was with the Eagles as their quarterback's coach. It's actually been 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. So John's from Radnor, PA. That's where he went to high school. He has a great Chip Kelly store. We're not going to give it away. John has agreed already to come on with us as many times as we want. We pitched a concept to him, a couple, and he said yes, no problem. He'd be happy to do it. So we're not going to give it away, but we got something super duper cool.
Right.
You'll know it, and then you'll understand why we don't want to give it away. And then there's another one. We're going to get into the technical part of quarterback coaching and why he's widely he won't say this, but I know for a fact, as you do, he's widely recognized as, if not the best quarterback coach in the National Football League, one of the best, obviously. The Jamarcus Russell story was great. You forget how all these guys he's coached. It's amazing. Gardner Minshew,
right? Johnny Manziel, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew.
Marcus Russell.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew. Yeah.
Right.
So John's a great storyteller, so we're really pleased to have him. We appreciate him being on there. And look, he was with the Bears for 2 years. John basically said sounds like he's not going to be with the team this season, though he's under contract to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
He had time left on his contract, so he's playing a lot of golf. He's a good dude, and we appreciate him saying yes. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, please catch the interview on ITB TV, which is on our YouTube channel, also our podcast network. But please, if you watch it on YouTube, please subscribe. Again, thank you. We just recently went over 10,000 subscribers, and actually we're coming up on 10,500 pretty soon, pretty quickly here. So really want to appreciate those who have subscribed. But if you listen often and never thought to subscribe, please do that because it really does help us. Same thing, obviously, with the podcast. Greg Cosell will be back with us soon at some point, few weeks, where we're going to do an NFC East outlook, one show with Greg on each team. I say that having not, we haven't exactly, it's not like we told Greg we wanted to do it. He said, okay, we haven't really ironed everything out, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it not to happen.
Right. And what he'll do is what we'll also get into, and these will all lead up to training camp. Now the schedule comes out tonight. Today's Thursday. We know who they're playing, but we don't know the weeks. We'll get into the one thing that they announced, but we'll go over the Eagles' non-divisional opponents with Greg as well. So you'll have a good, especially for Eagles season ticket holders, you'll get a bird's eye view of how Greg sees these teams. Because now we've had the draft, we all know what these teams are going to look like. Yes, the Eagles might do something at corner, at safety before training camp. We'll see. But we have a good idea what the roster will look like, and as well as their opponents. So it's kind of cool to get his intel. And the biggest show we've done in the history of our company was our last show with Greg. Right. All 5 Eagles draft picks. He went over the top UDFA signings they had. And incredible information on Carson Strong we didn't even know about. He kind of threw a curveball at us, which was awesome. And then the A.J. Brown stuff, people went out of their minds. I mean, when Greg does not go wild over players, but man, what did he say about A.J. Brown, right?
Yep. He definitely is a big fan of that move for a couple of reasons in particular that are worth listening to. So Greg definitely liked the A.J. Brown acquisition. All right, one last thing, our newsletter that we've been telling you about. Well, actually, 2 things real quick. One, the newsletter is out. Please subscribe to it. We're really thankful for everyone who's subscribed to it so far, but we're putting a lot of work into it as far as getting you guys clips of things that we're doing on Inside the Birds and InsideTheBirds.com. We're answering questions. As we keep telling you, that's another forum for us to Ask ITB questions, which we've been doing. So please, it's free. It's easily accessible, and it brings you our content right to your eyes, to your inbox, and that's very helpful. I like good newsletters. I tend to like Andrew Brandt's, for example. I think it's good. It just kind of packages everything. But what we've got is really special. So you have to check it out, and please become a subscriber. And also, we are joining TikTok movement finally. Adam, Adam and I will not be doing any synchronized dances, but we are starting up an Inside the Birds TikTok account. We'll have some more information for you on that going forward. But yeah, I look forward to getting involved with that as well. There are a couple of things we're going to talk about today. Talk more about the front office, some big things going on that we want to speak about. The schedule will be coming out, I believe, later today, Thursday, right? Thursday night.
Yep.
So it's funny how much of it gets leaked even before. So we already have some matchups we can discuss, but it will come out tomorrow night. No reason for us to do an emergency ITB. I'm sorry, tonight on the schedule unless something crazy.
No, we're not. We're not doing it.
not going to be an emergency ITB on.
No. But they already announced Monday night. ESPN already announced the week 2 game.
Yep,
which is cool. We'll get into that in a second. But one thing. Q&A. We'll have an update. We definitely want them back, and we know they want to be back. We have to. We will. So what do you think? Within next week or so, we should have an update?
No, I'm glad you brought that up because we got a ton of people wanting their reactions, and they're both.
Me too. I want to hear them.
I've talked to them both. They're both excited and interested about getting Q&A back together. I don't think that's going to be the issue. They're both very busy, though. So we're supposed to speak later this week. I think on Friday, Friday, to try to get something hammered out. But I have a feeling, I never want to be speaking absolutes, but I have a feeling we'll be able to get something worked out and have them back on the platform fairly soon. So look forward to having more updates on that. All right, so we're going to talk about the front office stuff. We're going to talk about the schedule a little bit that's going to come out, what we know, and we're going to give you some intel that we've got generally on free agency and some other things that are going on overall with the team. But like we've been telling you for a little bit now, it is, excuse me, it is time to talk again about the mud flying on Trenton Avenue. One of Philadelphia's largest and most unique spring festivals is back on Saturday, May 14th. That's just a couple days away here in Fishtown and East Kensington from noon till 6 p.m. It's the Philadelphia Federal Credit Union Kensington Derby and Arts Festival making its grand return with an all-day event that's expected to draw thousands of people to the great outdoors and spaced out along a massive 3-mile route spanning Trenton Ave from Norris to Frankfurt. All along the way, families, foodies, artists, and inventors will experience the city's wackiest celebration of local flavor. So we're looking forward to seeing you and your family there. All right, Adam, let us discuss the schedule as we'll get to that let's hit that first. Because I think it's pretty interesting here that how the news broke, right? They're going to play a week 2. I don't remember the last time I've ever seen schedule news break about week 2, but not about week 1. But
it's really, well, it's Monday night, so ESPN announced that the Eagles will play at home week 2 versus the NFC North Vikings. So Eagles certainly have an interesting history with the Vikings. No question about that. NFC Championship game, of course, where they won at the Link to get the Super Bowl. But that'll be week 2 on September 19th. And now, what's interesting about this is the Vikings have a brand new coaching staff. And for the first time in several decades, they're going to run a 34 front. So this is kind of weird to see them.
Yeah.
The coaches always tell us that the first year going for a 43 to 34 is really hard.
Right.
So, and you want to get this team. You want to get them early because they're not going to have they're not going to get it early on with the 34. They're not, maybe by midseason it'll be much better, but you certainly want to play a team with new schemes early in the season. And Kevin O'Connell, who will run his West Coast offense, a little bit of Sean McVay and some other offenses, but yeah, look, it's still Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook is terrific. Their offensive line they feel is better, but the fact of the matter is this is a team with new coaches, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, especially with Kevin O'Connell coming over from the Rams, correct?
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty good offensive weapons at his disposal between Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And, of course, I know Kirk Cousins is polarizing, but at the end of the year, he's got really good numbers. It just always happens. Always has good numbers. So they've got some, and that, I really like their tight end, Adam. I like him so much I can't think of his name right now.
Well, Conklin left to the Jets.
No, KJ Osborne is he?
No, he's the receiver. Osborne's the receiver. In fact, Rick Spielman, remember, Spielman came on and told us about Osborne. We were talking when we interviewed Rick. In fact, we got to get him on again. I'll be in touch with him soon.
Yeah.
No, it's actually Irv Smith.
That's the one from Miami, right?
Right. Who tore his meniscus. He actually had the repair. He actually went to Alabama. You might remember his dad, Irv Sr., played for the Dolphins.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I do like Osborne as well, that slot receiver.
He was good.
To make some plays too. So
he was
good. They can certainly put up points.
Yeah, look, they could spread you out, and if the Eagles don't attack this cornerback position, we'll get into that, certainly, because we have some questions. We know folks are asking about the former Giants corner, Bradberry, so we'll get into that. But yeah, they've changed the front. This is going to be interesting, and they got a lot of corners, but they don't really have a number one corner. Well, we'll see how good Andrew Booth is, who dropped to the second round. Lewis Cine, who Costel loved. So they've got some players, and Jordan Hicks, former Eagle, will play inside linebacker. They're 34, so yeah, they're changing it up, man.
Now, the crazy thing about this game Monday night is that it's going to be running on I forget which is it ABC that this game is on?
Well, it's it might be. I don't know.
Because there's going to be a second. It's a part of a doubleheader, but the games are running sort of concurrently, which doesn't make much sense to me. I don't understand why the NFL wouldn't just want the games to have different start times, the games start after the other one ends and try to get. But the other game is Buffalo, Tennessee. No, it's Buffalo somebody. I
Okay.
should have written it
Okay.
down. But
Don't worry about it.
I just think it's very, very odd that they chose that.
Yeah, I'm little when they said there was a doubleheader, I'm like, but around the same time, I'm like, I don't. It's not the first time they've done that.
Right.
But I think part of it was when we had the COVID rescheduled games.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That I understood. This one
yeah,
they purposely
yeah.
and intentionally planned. So I don't get that one.
So that'll be a good matchup. That'll definitely be for, and then obviously the Eagles have had a lot of changes through the
Right.
draft and a little bit through free agency, but for the draft, they're going to have some really important additions, and this will be a good test for them. But like I said, if you're going to face a team that's completely changed their defense, it's always good to play them early on until they get it. And it's hard to. Ed Donatel has been you might remember him, folks, from the Falcons and the Niners. Long-time NFL system, has been a D coordinator before. So he comes in here. He comes to and Wade Phillips' son, Wes Phillips, is the OC, but Kevin will call the plays.
Right. And by the way, it is Titans Bills at 7:30 on 7:15 on ESPN, and then Eagles Vikings 8:30 on ABC.
Is it Eastern time or Central for that game?
It's at Bills, so it's got to be Eastern.
Oh, I thought you said it is at Bills. Oh, that it's East Coast. Jeez, why are they doing that?
I don't know. That one I just couldn't figure out.
There must be some
smarter than me. Yeah, has a good reason for it, but I can't figure it out.
Anyway,
all right. So that's that. So I find that pretty. So Minnesota's not a walkover. That should be a fairly good game for the Eagles, and so that we also know that because that game is at home, we know that the Eagles will be starting the season on the road. So it's either going to be a division game. I mean, obviously the schedule will later. It's not worth.
It's going to be at Washington.
You know what? There is a Twitter account. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called NFL Schedule Leaks.
No.
It's been fairly. I don't know if it's right every time, but it's been fairly accurate. But they had the Eagles playing Washington sometime in the middle of the season and at the end of the season. It didn't have every Eagles game. It just has. They randomly tweet out certain games that they find out about. And I think they had Eagles Washington like week 9 and week 17. So it made me think, can you imagine if it's Dallas?
No, I don't. I remember last year we were complaining why are they putting the Dallas. Was it week 2? Was it?
I know we complain, but they do it. They keep putting them in early.
Week 3, maybe.
Week 3. Yeah.
I hate that. Yeah. I know we got to get Howard Katz on. Howard Katz from the NFL Scheduling Office. I know him a little bit. I just want to know why they do that. I know Joe Banner said that every team requests scheduling and when to when they prefer to be on the road and not on the road and travel stuff and all those kind of things. But man, I hate having Dallas early.
I know. I wouldn't want it on the season opener as well. In fact, I don't think they've played Dallas in the season opener in like forever. Right? I can't remember. Yeah. So my guess though would be if it's not an NFC East team, then it's probably going to be an AFC South team because they're playing the AFC South this year. It would be pretty interesting if it was Tennessee. There's with the AJ Brown angle. You open up the season.
That'd be awesome.
How
great! You know what? That would be so like the NFL to do it in week 1. That'd be kind of cool. And hey, Jordan Davis is here. Now they got the run stopper, right? Make the thing is make Ryan Tannehill throw. He has trouble processing, man. That's why Miami got rid of him, man. The more you ask him to throw, the more problems he has. So, hey, we'll see.
All right, we'll get into some front office stuff first. New Edition Consulting is a boutique newsletter consultancy that partners with entrepreneurs, early-stage startups, and media entities looking to launch, maintain, and grow their newsletter offering. Simply put, every brand today is in the business of deepening their connections with their community. An intentional, consistent newsletter is the spine that holds this effort together, allowing you to connect deeper with your audience than you can on your social media channels. New Edition provides one-on-one, end-to-end, 360-degree newsletter support to all of their busy and talented clients. Think of them as an accountability partner, content strategist, growth marketer, and admin, all rolled up into one. So if you've been looking to launch or transform your newsletter offering, but simply haven't had the time, tools, or support, head to neweditionconsulting.co and book a free exploratory call with their team. And I just want to add that New Edition Consulting doing a great job so far with the Inside the Birds newsletter.
There you go.
All right. Very good job. All right. So let's talk about a bunch of things from the front office. So let's get to talk first about Andy Weidl. Okay, he's still with the team, still has the same role, even as things are fluid and moving around with him. So most people know, unless they're in a cave or something, that he did have an interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers before the draft. The Steelers started their search, and they've cast a very wide net here for their next GM because Kevin Colbert is stepping down pretty early. And then they have since scaled it down to some second interviews. And there have been a couple, Doug Whaley, Ryan Cowden, John Spytek, I believe, who they've already announced. But as we understand it, we've heard from a couple of different sources that Andy Weidl, who did have a first interview with them, is going to be having a second interview with them sometime next week. Okay. So we've already talked to Adam about a lot of the losses and the replacements, some of the firings and their replacements. But obviously, if Andy Weidl were to get this Pittsburgh job, and I know there are various reports about whether he's the front runner or where he's at. You know, I'd look. I mean, they're interviewing some pretty big name guys, including some big name in-house guys, right? That we'll get to in a second. So who knows? But obviously, that's just another guy in this front office who would have to be replaced of some sort. And then it gives you that feel of Howie really having to just remake this entire scouting department.
I mean, you look at it, right? We don't have time to go back over the last 5 years, but just think really quick here. Joe Douglas, it's a big loss for them. He's the GM doing a great job with the Jets, but what a draft they had. If Andy leaves and gets that Pittsburgh Steelers job, GM job, here's the one guy who's been through it. He's won Super Bowls with multiple teams. Started his career, by the way, with the great Tom Donahoe. Tom hired him with the Steelers, who worked under him. We know that Tom had been a mentor for Andy, Howie Roseman, and others with the Eagles. You lose a major senior member of their personnel staff if he becomes the Steelers GM. So you know, it's one thing to want to get younger. There's nothing wrong with it, but you got to have people who've been there, done that before. It's not easy, and he's also a very good evaluator from what we understand. And we wish him good luck with that. And Ryan Cowden is the personnel director for the Titans. Ryan started his career. It was actually pretty amazing. Ryan was the assistant college director, and John Robinson hired him as his right-hand man. In fact, I'm told he wanted Brian Gutekunst, but the Packers blocked him before Goody became the Packers GM. So, and then who was the other name? Whaley, we know about.
Doug Whaley, yeah.
Right.
Who was in the Steelers front office, then was the general manager of the Bills.
Yep.
And now he runs the East-West Shrine Bowl. No. NFLPA Bowl?
I think, NFLPA,
one of those bowls. Yeah, NFLPA Bowl.
Right. Or wait. You know, it's one of the two.
From that.
He might have even I know Dane. That, I know Dane Vandernout, the former pro director for the Raiders, runs one of them. I can't remember. It's one of the two of them. But both those guys were running All-Star games. Yeah,
you know what Doug's doing now? I forgot. Yeah. He's the senior VP of the XFL. The new.
Oh, he left. Oh, okay. So he's wow. Okay, so he's a bigwig at the XFL.
Yeah, I think the newer one, like the one that The Rock was involved. I can't keep up with all the XFLs, but I think it's the newer one.
You know, and the USFL, God bless them, with their for those of us who are old enough to remember the Philadelphia Stars and USFL, which was great football for 2+ years. I mean, it's cool that they're bringing back the jerseys, but I don't know about you, but I watched it. I'm like so bored with it. I don't know. I want a little bit. I know. I think part of it is I recognize some of the names. But back when I was a season ticket holder in high school, man, it was Calvin Bryant, great Sam Mills, and you go through Chuck Vicino played at Penn State, go through the whole list. I mean, Irv Eatman, okay? Yeah. I don't know these teams yet. Now, the football, it's okay, but it's not. You don't have the high level players that Donald Trump decided to pay. Herschel Walker, of course, for the Jersey Generals, with Doug Flutie and others. Steve Young of the LA Express, and that ruined it because it became too much. That just was never going to work when Trump wanted to go to the fall to compete against the NFL, which was a mistake. But that was great football. Let me tell you something. Now I'm not into it yet, so maybe I need to give it a little bit more of a chance.
Yeah, well, the fact that the all the teams play in Birmingham, right? Even though they represent different cities, makes it to me sort of weird, difficult to get involved with.
That's my point, right? Exactly. Yeah, the point. Yeah. I'm having trouble connecting with it.
So back to Andy Weidl, because some people have reached out and asked us.
Okay.
There are certain things about him that make him very attractive to the job. One is that he is a Western Pennsylvania guy. He's from the Pittsburgh area, and the Steelers. We've talked about this a billion times. They really value that, and if you go look at their front office, they've got a lot of guys with Pittsburgh roots in the front office, and that's intentional. So that helps him. And B, or two, I think I said one and B, or A and two. Secondly, he did start his career there, but I don't want to he was an intern there for a short time. I mean, really, he came up through the Baltimore Ravens chain with Joe Douglas and some other guys who were with the Eagles, not anymore, but that's really where he's cut his teeth. He's not necessarily a guy from the Steelers tree, but again, he did start off as an intern there under Kevin Colbert, has worked his way to this very high-ranking position, and now has positioned himself to be interviewed for the second time for this job. So next week should be a really interesting week for the Steelers. And don't forget, while we've talked about all this, Brandon Hunt, who is their, as we talked about, their pro scouting director, interviewed for the high-ranking job for Howie Roseman and the Eagles. And he's also, as I understand it, a candidate for that Pittsburgh job. So these are kind of two things going on concurrently.
I know.
And so it makes it interesting. So I'm personally just fascinated by the Steelers GM vacancy because Kevin Colbert may be one of the best that ever did it, and he's stepping down. And this is a franchise that has amazingly been able to go from GM to GM or head coach to head coach, quarterback to quarterback, and maintain a really high level of success. And so just as you and I are unbiased, just football junkies who just love the league in general, I'm fascinated to see this new era of Steelers football that will not have Ben Roethlisberger, will not have Kevin Colbert, but will have Mike Tomlin, who, by the way, and it's out there, but I mean, I've been told this as well, he's going to have a lot of input on this search. And that's maybe one area that doesn't benefit Andy as opposed to others, because I don't know that there's any relationship or bond there between Mike Tomlin and Andy Weidl.
Right, and what's interesting is Brandon Hunt. I think we were told that Hunt and Weidl know each other, so if they have to work together, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
So look, good luck to Andy. Let's we'll pull him for him. And John Spytek, also of the Bucks,
former Eagles
scout. Yep, who's great guy. He's done a terrific job with Jason Late. We're building that football team, and not just Tom Brady. Look at their drafts over the last 4 to 5 years. They've been really, really good. They're one of the best, actually. They've really turned things around in their personnel department, so kudos to them. And then, so a couple other notes here. So we know Morocco Brown interviewed, correct, earlier this week?
Yeah, Morocco Brown did interview with the Eagles this week. He is the Colts college scouting director.
Okay. And then what do we know about Rand Carthon?
Rand Carthon from the 49ers, director of player personnel. It's my understanding that he was blocked. So I don't believe that he is interviewed with the Eagles. He was blocked by the 49ers, as I was told. And so really, so far, the Eagles have only interviewed for this position Brandon Hunt and Morocco Brown, unless there's others that I don't know about.
Our understanding is they're going to interview other people too. Okay. We'll see where this goes. Now, here's the question. Hunt his title is pro scouting coordinator, and we're told it's actually he's their pro director.
Yes.
So, what would he be like? We do we know the title? I know titles we make fun of the Eagles with the title sometimes, but do we have any idea what titles they're giving out? Or we know that there's going to be.
What about the Steelers or the Eagles?
No, let's stay with the Eagles on this one.
Okay.
So our understanding as of 2 weeks ago, we'll go over some other promotions that we've heard, or we'll clear the titles up. We put some stuff out last week, and like 4 or 5 people getting promoted, but. So if I think they're going to have 2 directors. They're going to have at least 2 personnel directors. So Charles Walls, the former Brown scout, national scout, we're told he already started. He's one of their personnel directors or player personnel. Remember, they lost Ian Cunningham and Brandon Brown, who were directors of player personnel. They have the same title. One did more college, one did more pro. And Walls, as we understand, will be more college. So are they, because this will be a step up for Brandon. We know he'd be a minimum of a director of player personnel. Now, would he have a different title? what's your thinking on this?
It's my understanding. I mean, how he's conducting these interviews that this is going to be a high-ranking position within
Yes.
the front office. So um, now I haven't been told a specific title, but it
Yeah.
sounds if you want to make the best guess, you see a lot of people getting assistant general manager as a
Yes.
title these days. So I
Yes.
don't know if that's how the Eagles will phrase it, but it's my understanding that that's how the job is looking as far as responsibilities.
Okay.
Assistant general manager. So
Gotcha.
that's the vogue thing now. I mean, the Eagles had co-director of player personnel with Brandon Brown and Ian Cunningham, and both of those guys left to become assistant general managers, right? So, by the way, if you're trying to lure someone into your front office and use those guys as example of promotions, you probably want to create that title and say, hey, you are now just one step away from
Hmm.
general manager.
Gotcha.
Okay, that
Gotcha.
I think that's
Okay.
how you get someone
Yeah.
like a Morocco Brown who's already pretty high in Colts, or like Brandon Hunt who is interviewing for the Pittsburgh Steelers GM job.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to probably get some of these guys if you just call them assistant senior director of scouting and personnel. Like you gotta give them
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
right title for
Yeah.
that.
Right. I was just curious because, like you said, to get him out of there if he doesn't get the GM job with the Steelers. And I know I think you'd said, I think you told me he was born somewhere else, but he lived in Pittsburgh for a long time, correct?
Yeah, I think he was born in L.A. Brandon
Oh,
Hunt,
wow.
but moved to Pittsburgh, so he's got
Okay,
Pittsburgh roots.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and then they had other hires. I think the Athletic put it out there earlier this week. We could just tell you what we know about Matt Russell coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, I remember Matt Russell as a linebacker for the Lions in the '90s, and then he worked very closely here with Tom Heckert.
Uh-huh.
He went to Denver. Matt had, unfortunately, a very serious off the field issue.
Yep.
He was gone for a while. Then John Elway hired him as sort of like a personnel consultant. And from what we heard, he's cleaned his life up, and good for him. And Howie Roseman's known him for a while,
Mm-hmm.
obviously because he was here before, and he's
Mm-hmm.
hiring him. It is definitely true. Art, what we're told is it's going to be a senior personnel executive type of role. The title is not exactly known, but he's going to be someone who, because Matt has been around a long time, apparently he's a really good evaluator. He just needed to get some things straightened out in his life. But I never met the guy, but I'm just talking to people who've known him. We've known about this for a couple weeks. It's probably going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still like not clear exactly what the title will be. But again, with these titles, it's like they throw titles around in the NFL.
Right.
What do they actually do? He'll be sort of an advisor, consultant. We don't know exactly what that like. Is it both pro and college? Will be sign some schools to do? Or just be an advisor like Tom Donahoe? Could
Mm-hmm.
be, but we're not 100% sure right now.
I think the difficult thing here is looking at the people who have left, whether either on their own promotion or getting fired, and then look at some of the names that are in or being interviewed and trying to see who replaces who, because it doesn't feel like it's going to be an apples to apples type of replacement. We just know that I think what's the body count up to now? 8 people who are no longer with the team. I mean, between Ian, Brandon, Catherine, Donahoe, Casey Weidl, Heinlein, McCrate,
Yep,
and
yep.
Pritt, Evan Pritt. That's what, 5.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
8 got people right there.
Could be more
But
too. We don't know about. Yeah, maybe there's
right, there
even
could be
more.
more. That's
Yeah.
8 right then and there. Although, and we know that there's going to be some promotions in house. I know we
Yes.
talked about that last pot. Alan Wolking, Ryan Myers, are 2. There's Dave Caldwell, who's
Yeah, the
poised
last 2 shows. Yeah, we gave
right,
them all out. Yeah.
right. So if
I
you
think.
take those 3 and then you add Charles Walls for Matt Russell, 5, and then one of whoever they hire for this position we've been talking about. Let's say it's Brandon Hunt, 6.
Yeah.
It feels like Howie still has a couple more he's got to bring in here.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely happening. Yeah. In fact, we're told that they've got all the names they want to talk to. They got to go through the interviews. Take a couple more weeks to get the whole thing settled. By the end of the month, this is definitely going to happen, if not before that. So they've got. You don't want to rush this because the good thing is with the way they built this personnel department between Weidl and Roseman, they brought in a lot of good people. Yes, some people have left to get better jobs. It just happened. Some they blocked and they promoted. The Eagles are very good about promoting from within. If they, let's say another team puts a slip in, More often than not, they promote these people instead of block them, not promoting them, which some teams do, which is really not cool. In fact, you know what's amazing? They're not required to tell the people that they were blocked. I have some guys I'm very close with around the league with other teams who have been blocked, and they found out from other people that they got a slip. The slip was put in, and they were never told by the GM or the personnel director, whoever they reported to.
But can't they just find out from the team that they were supposed to interview with? Like, can't Howie call up and rant?
Well, actually, they're supposed to. Well, they're supposed to. It's funny you said there are a couple times when the team want to do it the right way, and like they put the slip in, then they call them. You're not. Generally, it's the way it works, folks. Is teams tamper. They know who they like. They're generally friends with each other, and every once in a while, they're just recommended. Someone will reach out on if someone has like a home phone where it can't be traced, and they'll talk to the guy. Hey, listen, we've heard about you. We'd like to bring you in. We'd like to talk to you, and we're going to put the slip in. They get to know each other. But I know a couple cases over the years where they just didn't do it. They did it the right way without tampering. But it's a common. It happens all the time. Nobody raises a stink. It's just the way it is. All teams do it, and a lot of them they do it the right way. But the Eagles have a great history of if someone puts a slip in and they like the person, they're just going to they give them. Sometimes it's actually basically the same job. They give them a better title means more money. That's just the way it is.
Right.
And remember, another reason why a lot of people like staying there is because the Eagles are in the NFL's pension. Not every team is in the pension. And that is very important to people who work for NFL teams.
Very, very much so. All right, so to recap, Brandon Hunt has interviewed with the Eagles. Morocco Brown has interviewed with the Eagles. Sounds like Howie Roseman wants to interview a couple more before making his decision. Concurrently, Andy Weidl is going to have a second interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers next week, we're told, and we'll see what happens. And I believe Brandon Hunt is also expected to have a second interview with the Steelers. I think he had first next week also. Okay. So there's a lot of kind of stuff going on concurrently, and one of these things is going to shake itself out at some point, and we'll have the news on that. There are a couple of other smaller personnel items that I just want to cover really quickly. First, I want to tell everybody, check out our friends at phlsportsnation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto, so make sure you're checking out all their great work at phlsportsnation.com. And on Twitter, you can find them at phlsportsnation. Let's pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you go out to Westchester, PA and visit our friends at Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal.
And they are buying cars. They don't just sell them. They are buying cars. They're giving top dollar. Now is the best time. If you've got a car you want to sell, it's the best time in your lifetime to sell your car to a dealership. And Sky Motors, and by the way, they go to skymotorcars.com. They do a ton of internet business. They buy and sell cars online. But yeah, they're big. There's just a car shortage in this country, and used car dealerships like Sky Motor Cars, they are looking to buy cars, and they are giving big time money. It's why I've been thinking, like, do I want to sell my car now? It's new Infiniti I like. I'm thinking about it. We've sold 2 cars for them. They were great. So my wife and I, we're thinking about it. We really are.
All right. Well, let me know. Maybe I'll hop in there too and do the same. As far as Eagles personnel staff, you had said that you remember when Matt Russell was a linebacker for the Lions, correct?
Yeah.
Well, there's a report that another former Lions linebacker is coming into.
It is. Oh yeah, I forgot.
Is it true? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh my bad. Jordan Dizon. I remember him as a linebacker for the Lions. Yeah. In fact,
right.
This is funny. For those of you who play fantasy with defensive players, I actually had him on one of my teams years ago. I'm so old. Jack Del Rio was like the best at fantasy, like 1991 or something or 2. That's actually how I learned my love for football. A lot of it came from playing in fantasy leagues with defensive players, man. But Jordan Dizon, I remember. So yeah, we confirmed that Mike Kliss, who reports, I can't remember who put it out first. I can't cover all this stuff, but we know Jordan Dizon. Yeah. Mike Kliss from News 9, who used to be with one of the newspapers, put it out, and the Matt Russell one, I think, might have been first by the Athletic, our buddy Bo Wolf.
Yeah, that was the Athletic.
Okay.
Oh, so, although actually, I think I actually saw There's a Twitter account, the Honest NFL, that you and I
Oh,
follow, and every once in a while,
okay.
that person purports, and I believe it. I'm just saying, purports to be have you used to be involved with the Eagles, and it sounds
Yeah.
like he knows a lot if you read
Yep.
his
Yep.
Twitter account. So he had also said something about it too. So, but either way,
Yeah.
yeah, Matt Russell back. So, do we know what Jordan
Yes. He's going to be
Is it
college
Dizon or
scouting.
Deason?
I was told college scouting. He's always been in college scouting for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, and we're told it's going to be college scouting. I don't know because Ryan Myers we're told it's going to be the Eagles as we first reported last week. Um, he's getting a promotion. He's a West Coast area scout to assistant college director.
Mm-hmm.
But I see Alan Walking, if I recall correctly, he got promoted. He was he's been a long time area scout, but he also got the senior director of college scouting title. But he
Mm-hmm.
still had an area, so I don't know how they're going to do this. Are they going to give Ryan? Is he going to still keep the same schools and then get the title and the money? As we understand it, as we reported last week, there was at least one team in on him,
Mm-hmm.
potentially. Again, the Eagles just do a good job of recognizing people have been dedicated to their job, and this is a Tom Gamble hire.
Right.
Chip Kelly hired back in I'm going to say 2013ish, that area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's been with them. He was with the Niners before that, working under Trent Baalke and
Right.
Gamble.
Right.
So we'll see, but yeah, that's the thing that we're just not. There's so many moving parts, as you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, they know what they're going to do, but it's because the Eagles are an interesting team where they sometimes people have the same exact job, but they want to take care of them, so they give them a new title and maybe a little more responsibility sometimes not, but they definitely will. Not always, but usually if it's on college side, they still cover the same schools. But with Ryan Myers, because he's been there so long, we just wonder is Jordan Dizon going to get some of his schools because Dizon is out on the West Coast.
Right.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll learn soon enough. But um, look, as you said, they're making a lot of moves here, man. We don't want to take every show and do the stuff, but the problem is it
Right.
keeps happening, so we got to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it in the bit, I know that a lot of these names people don't know, and
Yeah,
at some point when the ball is thrown up in the air and the kickoff start, like nobody
sure.
cares. You don't care about the
But it's
West Coast scout.
important.
Yeah,
I was
it's
just saying
very
it's
important. I
important.
mean, these are the people who kind of who are helping to decide the future of the
Exactly.
franchise.
Exactly. Their
Whether
information
it's
get
college scouting or pro scouting, advanced scouting, all the
yeah,
information
very
that's really
important.
important.
Yeah, the pro scout, pro advance for teams, college scouts. Look, I know they're not decision makers, but they're ones who get it started. They're the ones who have to know about injuries. Whether it's a strength coach, if you're a college scout, you got to have good sources. Scouts have told me over the years, like a lot of the guys have similar sources or people you talk to, guidance counselor, uh, strength and condition coach, trainer, um, whoever. But they also will find people that sometimes they don't. Some people they don't know. Like they got a tip on someone to talk to, maybe a high school coach or a position coach in high school who no one could find, and they found whatever it is. Everybody has their own sources. So look,
Right.
it's the Eagles have a very good history of having a good staff. And when they follow the board ban, it's amazing how good they do, at least on paper.
Right.
This last year, actually the last two drafts look pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out, but that's what
Which
happens when you have a good process.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is sort of what makes this sudden turnover so kind of, I guess, not want to say concerning, but just comes at a strange time for the organization. By the way, I was told that there was someone else who's going to be joining the scouting staff, probably at a
Okay,
lower level, but that would be like kind of a somewhat recognizable name
huh?
to people. So
Pro or college? Do we know?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So
Okay,
yeah,
huh?
we'll see. We'll have to see.
Oh, would it be someone who had been here before in Philly before or no?
I don't actually know the
Okay,
name. I just
okay,
was told that it would be somebody who's recognizable to a
okay,
degree, and
gotcha.
not like a superstar, but just somebody
Yeah,
who'd be recognizable.
got
So
it.
we'll keep our ears out from that.
All right,
I'm sure when it comes out, I'll be like, oh, that must have been the guy they're talking about. He's a recognizable name, or she's a
okay.
recognizable name. All right, so that is probably Let's move on and get into some free agency intel. Where do we want to start with this? We know the Eagles need a safety.
Yeah.
Adam. And I know when after the draft, a couple of names kind of came up that would have made a lot of well, would have made some sense for the Eagles.
It's funny. So Geoff and I, after we put together, we put a rundown of information we want to talk about. So I'm going to say it was maybe our second show after the draft was over. So we're like, did we hear anything about players they're interested in? And we did, but we forgot to put it in the rundown. So we'll talk about Chuck Clark now. I've been wanting to talk about this for 2 weeks. So the Ravens were trying to trade Chuck Clark during the draft. And they talked to the Eagles about Chuck, safety, because they knew the Eagles. I mean, it's not hard to tell. The Eagles need a safety. But our understanding was then, it still is, that they were not interested in Chuck Clark at that point. Now, you say, well, how could that be? The guy's a starting safety. Yeah, he's losing his job. But if you look at a couple things here, Anthony Harris is back in Philly for a reason. I know he played very average last season. He knows the defense. Marcus Epps has been a good story development. And I know we had some questions about Marcus Epps. Greg said he really played well last season. He really opened some eyes. They want to give him a chance. I understand they were on the Honey Badger. It's funny with Honey Badger. They were like mild interest, and it kept dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. It's like, okay, let's get involved. Let's see. Let's call Condon and see what he wants. And once they knew what he wanted, they're out. That's the way it is. Like you check. Look, there's a saying: everyone becomes a bargain at some point. The longer the longer they fall down, the longer they wait, especially after the draft. But hey, Saints wanted to overpay. Good for them for a 30-year-old guy declining. Right. But Chuck Clark's a decent player. He was a good story of development, and he did get an extension. But he now has 2 years left. The money's very reasonable. To me, it's so reasonable. I don't know why you wouldn't want to bring him in. Now, of course, the Eagles could change their mind, but we were told during the draft they talked to the Ravens. I don't know if they called everyone, but maybe they identified the Eagles. But we're also told Rager's name came up, and there was no offer. The Ravens definitely, from multiple sources, had interest in Rager during that draft, just to talk about the Eagles, to talk about Rager with the Eagles, but nothing got done. Rager's still with the Eagles. The Eagles continue to insist they continue to insist he's going to be on the team this season. I know they're not cutting him. We talked about this weeks ago, but Chuck Clark he's been a starter for a while. I don't know why you wouldn't want him in the mix. It's not a lot of money, but they don't seem to be. Look, maybe they changed their mind when you get closer to training camp. It seems sometimes change their mind, but we know we had 1,000 questions on this, so we've addressed it.
Yeah, I guess some things just don't make sense to me, right? He's a 6th-round pick, but he's played 5 years in the league, so he's clearly exceeded expectations because he got drafted by the right franchise. He started 46 games in the last 3 years. It's pretty good. I mean, she's only missed 2 games. He started. That's starting. So, I'm sorry, 44 games, but he's played in 16 games a year for the last 3 years, right? He's got 4 interceptions in the last 3 years, and he has 4 forced fumbles in the last 3. He's a good player. I mean,
decent size.
Unless I don't know something, 6 foot, 205 pounds. All right, so he's a little light, but I mean, that's the way the league is. Yeah. He can play deep. He can play the deep.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised that there wouldn't be interest there, and I would think because, like you said, I would think he could be had for not too much because they've got Hamilton and Marcus Williams now.
Yeah, the leverage is on any team wants him. No, maybe the Eagles were playing coy. I don't know, but we'd heard this. It's my fault that I didn't put it on the rundown for that show where we had intel from the draft. I just forgot, but been meaning to talk about it, and they're shopping him hard. I've heard from so many teams because So here's this is why I think now there'll be some dead money. It's under $4 million if they trade him or cut him. But his base, there's no guaranteed money. It's $2.75 million is his base salary this year, and 23 is $3.285 million. No guarantees left in his contract. It's a low end starter money. I don't see why they wouldn't do it. But we see they're probably not. We don't know if the Eagles will play big nickel a lot. Maybe they don't. Gannon doesn't value having that other guy to get in the mix and let the best man win.
Yeah, but they don't even have enough bodies that position to withstand an injury, let alone playing 3 safeties. I mean,
maybe you know what? If who knows? Maybe the Eagles are playing coy. I had a pretty strong sourcing on this that the source closest situation said that Philly didn't seem very interested in him. So maybe they change their mind closer to training camp if somehow Chuck Clark's not traded. I would think Clark will have some value. The salaries are good enough, and as you said, he started a bunch of games. Um, I wonder, but I do wonder. Okay, look, the Hamilton was a great value. You have to take him there. My goodness
Mm-hmm.
gracious, how do you pass him
Mm-hmm.
up?
Mm-hmm.
But look, they also paying Marcus Williams a ton of money, $14 million a year.
Right.
So yeah, obviously they have to move Clark. They're not that you want to pay your third safety, it's 900 grand, a million. It's a little rich for a third safety,
Yeah.
but it's still very reasonable. And someone will trade for him. Now, I'm sure they're only looking for a late round pick. Any team acquiring him has major leverage here because the Ravens have to move the guy. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I know.
Why do I get the feeling that sometime during the season, that 1 year, $14 million contract for Fletcher Cox is going to be a topic of discussion, especially if things aren't going well for the
Why do you
Eagles.
say that?
I'm still sort of mind boggled by that whole process of releasing him to take the dead cap hit and then re-signing him for a year at $14 million because
Yeah.
it left them no choice. Like you knew they wanted a defensive lineman in the draft. You didn't know they were going to get it, but it left them kind of there was no in between. You're either bringing back Fletcher Cox at a year at $14 million or not bringing him back and then forcing yourself to make sure you get a D lineman high in the draft, which you never want to force yourself to do. And now we're sitting here wondering, well, who's coming off the field in their form? I don't know. It just
It's a
seemed
good
like a
thing. I mean,
very
teams
odd.
will teams will
Go ahead.
tell you they love having D tackle depth and a great rotation.
Oh yeah, trust me. I think it's great.
Yeah.
That's just 1 year, 14 million.
It is a lot for a declining player. I get, yeah, because they did a salary. I'm looking at his contract breakdown here. Why have we not talked about this before? Yeah, they did an advance.
How many dummy years? 1,106.
What's that? No, well, there's there's voidables. There's voidables to 26. It's the Eagles are the king of the voidables. Them, the Saints. Certain teams have done them for years. The Jaguars do option bonuses at the butt, man. They've done them forever. The Jaguars.
Yeah.
And now Fletcher Cox had bonus money due, and they had to. It's kind of weird. Like the release was a post June 1 designation, but yet they re-signed him. It's so I've not seen that before. I'm sure it's happened, but
that's a great point. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the Eagles will free up some money in about 3 weeks from now because of their 2 post June 1st designation.
I honestly, I don't even know if they need it.
Well, I mean, they do. We'll talk about it in a minute, but if you want to make a trade for a corner or sign somebody out there or give an extension while you can here, I think that there'll be some pretty good. They'll be able to put that money to use.
Hargrave. You and I have talked about this. He absolutely needs to come back. He's really played well last season. Yeah. There are not many guys they need to extend or look to extend, but he would be one of them. So anyway, it's interesting.
All right. I want to talk about, of course, the cornerback position, James Bradberry. But before we get to him, let's talk about our friends and new partners, Giddy. In a society where we're encouraged to hustle harder, sleep less, and work more, you may find it difficult to relax and be in the moment. Performance issues in the bedroom affect millions of men like you and I, but finally, there's a discreet tool that works. Meet Eddie, the smarter treatment for erectile dysfunction. Eddie is a clinically proven, easy-to-use wearable device designed to help men of any age strengthen and maintain their erections. Call 737-301-6111 to speak to a licensed nurse or visit eddieByGiddy.com. That's eddieByGiddy.com and be the best version of yourself. eddieByGiddy.com, where innovation meets ED. Use code IB20 for 20% off your order today. Again, that's eddieByGiddy.com and the code IB20. I'd be in my 40s, Adam, not IB20, but that's the code IB20. You'd be in your 50s, aren't you?
Man, we're getting all sorts of sponsorship, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh boy.
All right, so let's talk about James Bradberry. I feel like he has now become the cornerback version of Tyrann Mathieu. We're like, you have to admit, when the Eagles did not draft a safety in the draft, at all, to the surprise of not me, You have to like you remember seeing how many people were like, oh well, this clearly means they're going to sign the Honey Badger now, and we're all set. Honey Badger, sign, and you and I are like, whoa, nothing's really changed here. Well, it's about the money, right? This is about the money, the years, and everything like that. And not only that, but we were getting the sense in talking with people around the league that his heart was in New Orleans. I mean, that's where he went to college. And he's from. I think he's from New Orleans. So he signed there. And now I feel like this is happening with Bradberry, where he got cut, and every Eagle fan in the world thought, he's coming here. We're gonna sign James Bradberry, but not so fast.
Yeah. So what we're told is the Eagles definitely have interest. It's going to come down to this. There are a lot. What we're told is there are a lot of teams involved. Now. See, it's hard to say he's a declining player. I know he didn't play well last season. He's 29 in August, which means he's 29 in NFL years. That's the way teams look. Whatever your age is at week 1. That's your NFL age. Mm-hmm. So he's 29 in NFL years. That's not that old. He had a down year. He's a zone corner. They play more man. The Eagles played the most zone coverage, 91% of first half last season. Then they went with more man.
Right.
We don't know if Gannon's going to mix them up. Typically, teams do anyway. Every team, just about every team plays more zone than man. But some teams play 45, 47% man, which is really high in today's NFL. But anyway, he's got to play a specific way. It just didn't work for him last season. He got burned a lot. But he's a good player, high character guy. Doesn't have a big injury history, so this would be a good signing for them. But again, our understanding is they have interest.
Mm-hmm.
Interest is going to come down to money.
Right.
We explained, Matthew, they were out early. They were like, look, they had interest. They had the Zoom call with him. That came down to money. Once it was known what he wanted, they were out like just about every other team. We'll see. You know what's interesting? His agent. You remember the former Dolphins and Jets fullback Tony Page?
I do.
Yeah, Tony and Chidamalik. They represent him in Maryland, and good guys. And boy, they did a huge. Boy, I know the fans are just killing Dave Gettleman, the former general manager. It was a good signing. It made a lot of sense. It was a huge contract.
Yeah.
But the guy, look, he had one good year, and then the second year was not very good. And remember now, new front office. And they by the way, the Giants thought they had a trade worked out. That's their GM was doing media, WFAN and other media outlets, and also with the media there, with the Giants media. And they made it pretty clear they thought they had something going. I don't remember the paper. One of them said it was with the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, they signed Steven Nelson. But Bradberry's a good player. He just had a down year. This would be a really good signing for them if they could pull this off. But again, see, just because you have a lot of cap space does not mean you pay $12 million a year. It doesn't work like that. You could have $75 million. You put a value on the player. Yep. If it doesn't meet the value, you don't sign the player. It's not fantasy football. So teams will tell you that's not. Because like, hey, wow, you guys need to just sign the guy. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, all right,
there are teams that are willing to overpay, but those teams usually will do it Saints. For a year because they are not just the Saints, but they'll do it because they think that they're that guy away from winning the Super Bowl, right? I mean, the Chiefs overpaid for MVS. There's no doubt about it. I thought they overpaid for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. But you know what? They're pretty confident they're going to be in the playoffs, and that guy could make the one play because he's such a good deep threat that wins or a game for them. So it's worth it. So I bring up the Chiefs because they're always looking for cornerback help. I don't know if I have no intel on this. I'm just you have more than me. I'm just discussing. You say it comes down to money. I believe you on that, but I also tend to think that he may get like 3 comparable offers, and at this stage of his career, he may take the one that's the best situation for him, which is the team that's closest to winning a ring. That's what you're seeing a lot of the veterans do. Well, now who are they ring chase? When the money is the same, they'll go for it.
Okay. This brings up a great point. Mm-hmm. This brings up a great point off of what you just said. We haven't talked about this yet. We're definitely going to do this when we do a roster review show. Now that the Eagles have had the 5 players in the draft, 3 of them should definitely contribute this season, if not all of them. Although it's hard to see the kid from Kansas, if he makes a team, should be on special teams. But they've got some depth now at D tackle. They're going to have a good rotation. They made the trade for A.J. Brown, which was major. They had to do something significant at receiver. They did. They made some small moves in free agency. Is this
Mhm.
team better than the team that made the playoffs at 9-8 last season?
I know everybody wants to say, duh, yeah, because of A.J. Brown and because of Jordan Davis.
Pregnant
But,
pause. Yeah.
but let's be fair. Where you've gotten stronger, I mean, they're weaker at cornerback too. I mean, Steven Nelson may not have been great, but I mean, I can't sit
Yeah.
here and say that right now their current cast of corners and safeties are going to be better than what they had. So, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that we can make the argument that, well, now you play more too deep, you protect the bottom line is your personnel is your personnel. So I think they're better. They're definitely better. They're not worse. How much better are they is the question. And then, of course, we don't exist in a world where only the Eagles got better, right? I mean, there's
Sure.
32 teams and
Yeah.
a lot of them got better. So you can be a better team than you were the year before, but finish with a similar or worse record, right? I mean, that's happened plenty of
True.
times. So,
Sure.
yeah, I think they're better. They're better. Definitely better. But so are other teams. So we'll see. I always say you're only as good as the health and the progression of the team you're playing that week. Like we look at the calendar, right? And we're like, oh, win, loss, win, loss. Then you realize you're playing a team week 7 that you thought was going to be one thing, but then there's something completely other. Or you thought they're going to be terrible, but they're actually pretty good and way healthier than you are. So that's the only time it really matters when you start dissecting the matchups.
Well, I look at it this way. A.J. Brown is one of the top 10 receivers in the league. Some will say top 5. I probably wouldn't argue against it. He's tremendous, great leader. Fans are going to love him. Wearing number 11.
Top 5 is pretty high.
This kid is special. Just remember, they don't throw the ball there in Tennessee.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Now he has had injury history. We've talked about that. But if he's healthy, right, relatively healthy, he's going to be major upgrade. Oh my goodness, he'll help protect Smith on the other side because he'll run physical routes.
Right.
Hurts second year in the system. Great, NFL's best offensive line, and quite frankly, best depth. They have so many. They're super deep. Well, obviously the best O-line coach of the NFL, so they're great there. Running game, they have one because of when they want to have it. They have one because of the offensive line. They do a great job. Goddard's there. Ertz is long gone now. He's a full-time starter at the beginning of the season for the first time in his career. So he's going to be more of a factor. Defensively, you had Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, who, if healthy, and by the way, what we were told, he looked healthy in their rookie camp, and they're not really doing it at the rookie camp. There's no drills or anything, but
right,
running around, it looks good. But we'll see what happens as we progress in May and June. Before that, and again, we got to get. They might be the first team done, right? Again, second season in a row.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, if they follow last year's schedule, they'll be done soon.
Okay, so. No, you're right. The thing that's going to hold them back is a number 2 and number 3 outside corner. They have to get them. They know they have to get.
Right.
But we'll give them till sometime in August to get that done. If it's not done well before that, safety. The question with Marcus Epps is he a starting safety? We know the leaguers like him. Q&A talked about his tape. Cosell talked about his tape with us on our pregame show. Guy's a good football player. But what I don't understand is we know that Marcus Williams was their number 1 free agent target. Let's say they got Marcus Williams. Who is going to be other safety? Anthony Harris, probably?
Yeah.
So then the question is, how much do they really like Marcus Epps?
Like somebody asked it, I answered it. I think they don't expect him to be a Pro Bowl safety, but he's the only safety on the roster right now who they trust to be able to run, who can run. He can play the post. He can cover. He can run, right? Not perfect. He's not Earl Thomas in his prime or anything like that, but he can run. Anthony Harris is not a guy who's going to flip his hips and run. Kevon Wallace, not a guy flip his hips, run. We don't know enough about Jared Maiden. So I think that what they like about him is the fact that he's got more. He had a great pro day a couple of years ago at Wyoming. I think he ran a 4.55 in the 40. So a 4.45. He ran well, and he jumped 38 and a half vertical. So you know how the Eagles like analytics and athletes of this
measurables.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I've had people tell me that they think he's their best safety on the team. And it doesn't mean that they think the Eagles have great safeties, but he's the best of their bunch. So
all right.
I don't know that if they had signed Marcus Williams, I don't know that they would have brought back Anthony Harris. Now that we think about it.
Maybe, yeah. I'm just really curious because they went all in on Marcus Williams. They were around $14 million a year range.
Mm-hmm.
So they clearly wanted a major upgrade. Like they were going to do it, just like they did with Malcolm Jenkins, which they got home run, obviously. Best safeties in Eagles history. I'm old enough to remember Bill Bradley, who I met. Those of you who are older than 50. And Rodney McLeod, two great free agent signings. It's not you don't typically get that free agency starting safety for many years. It's pretty good scouting, but I just find it fascinating. They were going to spend a mint on Marcus Williams. Tells you when they make a major move, they don't get it, and then they don't draft a safety. I get they only have 5 players, and they're in on the honey badger, but not super in. So why not add another guy?
Adam, we'll do another podcast on that. Another 500.
I don't want to piss you off anymore.
Between next week and the next draft, I'm sure we'll discuss the neglect of the safety and cornerback positions in the draft. We will do that, I'm sure.
Could you bring back Macho Harris just once?
Sure, why not? Jaquan Jarrett. Can you bring back Jack Ikeguanu? Can you bring back Trevard Lindley?
No.
How about that? Can we bring those guys back?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was Jack Ikeguanu on the same team with Emil? How do you say the fullback from UMass? What was it?
The Emil. Oh man,
Ikeguanu,
I like this guy. No, it wasn't.
I just had to bring it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
What if they're on the same team?
Similar.
Yeah. You're gonna make me look it up.
There was a nickname for Emil on the Eagles. I can't remember.
See if I can find it.
That was Iguanagu. That's what it is.
Okay, Iguanagu. Okay.
Iguanagu.
Oh, yeah. And man,
not Ikeguanu.
Were you at the game when Leonard Weaver ended his career?
I was.
Oh, so scary.
Of course, I was at the game. Yeah.
Okay.
That was tragic for him.
Such a great player, greatest dude,
great human being, just an amazing human being,
nicest guy in the world. And what a great signing that was. He looked like he's going to be one of the best fullbacks in football because he's so athletic. He's had such a great attitude.
He caught a pass over the middle in a game, threading the needle got threaded there, or the window got threaded. I think Donovan threw a dart. He caught it with one hand.
Yes, I remember that.
Did a 180 turn to break a tackle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, name me another fullback you've ever seen do that. You can't.
I know. He
had uncanny abilities for that guy that played that position.
Such a good dude. Yeah, it's tragic. That was one of those folks, if you're in the press box that day, we're not supposed to cheer or boo, in the press box. You're not supposed to really, yell or anything like that. We all went, oh my God. We knew it was like a Napoleon Kaufman injury, for those of you who might remember the Raiders.
Oh, that's
that
was rough.
Tragic injury, and it was very similar. It was just awful. On the replay, you're like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, stop this. I don't want to end this podcast on such a negative note. We love.
I hear you.
I wish him the best. All right.
Yes.
That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. A big thanks to our producer Hunter Brody. You can check out his work on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads, and check out his website, broadsmedia.com. And as always, we thank you. That's right. All of you listening. We thank you for flying with us inside the bird.